Welcome back, Ram fans. 9 weeks in the books. Heading into week 10, I have my updated power rankings for you, my top 10, and no new additions. No one's dropping out and no one's moving in. I do want to mention 3 teams that are in my green room, so to speak. Teams to watch out for, could make a move if one of these top 10 teams falter. And those 3 teams are the New Orleans Saints, picked up a win over the Bears, and they are atop the NFC South, a very weak NFC South at the moment. The San Diego Chargers, I said it again, the Los Angeles Chargers, who got a win in New York over the Jets, got it done with special teams and defense, and good football team, just have to play more consistently. They look good. Their offense kind of struggled against the Jets, but that's a good Jets defense. And then the Cleveland Browns, who blanked the Cardinals. The Cardinals led by Clayton Tune. Not sure how much weight we should put on that, but the Browns and the Jets, very similar, 2 teams that struggle on offense but have dynamite defenses. So who are my top 10? Dropping 2 spots. Number 10 now, the Buffalo Bills, 5-4. I just don't know what to make of this team. They're just not getting it done. A couple of weeks ago, I said, hey, watch out for this team. They're going to be there in the end. One of the top teams in the AFC. They could drop out of the top 10 completely if this continues. Josh Allen up and down. Their defense is pretty banged up. Just not real impressive. But still a very strong roster. Maybe they'll get it straightened out. You got to win in November and December, and maybe the Bills will. But they could get healthy next week, this Sunday at home against the Broncos. Who else? The Cowboys, 5-3. They lost on the road to the Eagles. That's a tough place to play, and a very good team they lost to. But another team that I don't have a lot of faith in, Dak Prescott. I'm sorry, but they are my number 9 team, and they were my number 9 team last week. And they play at home against the Giants. Fully expect them to win. Daniel Jones out for the year, by the way. My number 8 team, the San Francisco 49ers, 5-3. They dropped 1 spot based on the performance of a team that jumped them here in a second. We'll talk about. They travel to play the Jags. Now, the thing about the 49ers is right now they're my number 8 team, but if they were healthy, I assume they wouldn't be in the midst of a 3-game losing streak, and they'd probably be in the top 3 or 4. But there are some concerns there. Can some of their key players stay healthy? What do we have with Brock Purdy, and can Jake Moody make clutch kicks? And those are big questions for a team that's, they're thinking they're going to win a Super Bowl. Those are 3 concerns that, they're not good problems to have for a Super Bowl contender. My number 7 team, and I could have jumped them up even higher. They've moved up from 10 to number 7, the Cincinnati Bengals. They seem to do this every year. Start out kind of slow, and you're thinking, they don't have it this year. And then Joe Burrow starts playing really well, and all of a sudden, this is a really good football team, and their defense played really well too. They host the Texans. Texans could be a challenge, but I expect the Bengals to win. My number 6 team, they actually dropped 1 spot on their bye week, the Detroit Lions, 6-2. They travel to SoFi to play the Chargers. What a fun game that's going to be. And not a ding on the Lions, but I just think another team here that moved up a spot. Actually, they also dropped a spot. Who moved up here? Oh, the Chiefs moved up. We'll get to them in a second. The Chiefs jumped 2 teams here. They also jumped my new number 5 team, the Jags, who are 6-2. They were 4th last week, and again, they host the 49ers. And steady as she goes, Jaguars keep this up. They're going to creep into that there's 3 or 4 teams here that I think are the true Super Bowl contenders. Jags are getting there. They are slowly getting there. And one of those teams that is a true Super Bowl contender, my number 4 team, the Miami Dolphins, they are 5-3. They lost to the Chiefs. We're down 21-0. Bizarre play at the end of the first half put them in a hole, but they came back and almost tied that game up late. But they're my number 4 team, dropping from number 2. They're on a bye. My number 3 team is also on a bye this week. The Chiefs, who just beat the Dolphins, are 7-2. They moved up 3 spots, and still, they're not your grandfather's Chiefs, right? I guess is how you'd put it. Defense was really strong against the Dolphins, though, and that's maybe they'll make the difference up for the struggles this offense has had to some degree. But hey, Patrick Mahomes and the Chiefs and Andy Reid, you just have a feeling they're going to be in that AFC Championship game one way or another. I think it's going to be the Dolphins, Jags, and Bengals against the Chiefs or Ravens, something like that. Those 5 teams will be in the mix. And my number 2 team right now is those Ravens, who just pounded the Seahawks. Seahawks are such a different team on the road, aren't they? Ravens are 7-2 now. They move up 1 spot. They host the Browns, and that'll be a test for them. I expect the Ravens to get it done, though, because their defense is playing really well. Browns, strong defensive team, not much going on offense, though. And my new number 1 team, actually steady, returning as my number 1 team, the Philadelphia Eagles, 7-1. They also enter a bye. They almost blew that game against the Cowboys. You see them mess up that handoff. I don't know what they were doing there. The announcer, Greg Olson, I think it was, the color commentator, said that, this is a play that they had run earlier, and they had dished it off to A.J. Brown. This is the same look. A.J. Brown cutting across in motion. Why you even bother him with that? You're not going to fool anybody. You're running out the clock. You're trying to hand the ball off and keep that clock running, and they almost blow it. A.J. Brown runs into the ball carrier. Ball's loose, but fortunately the Eagles recovered. But just a bonehead call, in my opinion. Hey, you know what? I was tempted to move the Rams up here, number 10, into the top 10 after signing that difference maker backup quarterback Carson Wentz, but yeah, that'd be just a little bit too much homerism, even for me. So the Rams aren't even in the green room, and I'm just joking here. There's no way they belong anywhere near the top 10 at this point. I wonder if they had signed Carson Wentz a couple weeks ago, would we have maybe pulled out a win in Green Bay? Front office making some weird decisions, and I talked about that on my Rams rehash. Doing a really bad job at evaluating the backup quarterbacks that they sign, and the ones they decide to roll with in the last 2 or 3 years. It's really cost them, and it cost them in Green Bay. So Carson Wentz on board, but expect Matthew Stafford to be back for that Seattle game. And I expect our Rams to win that game handily, by the way. Certainly hope so. Sean McVay has 2 weeks to dream up some new plays. Let's hope he can figure that out. That's my top 10 for this week out here from Rams Up.